All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the OneSignal webinar today. My name is Megan, and we'll be talking about ways that Fortune 500 companies are using OneSignal to power their notification strategies. We'll just give everyone here a few minutes to still kind of join. Thanks to everyone who's joining today. We do have a few quick announcements from our marketing team. And the first, and I'll announce this again at the end of the webinar, but essentially everyone who's joined today is welcome to get 10% off of signing up for the starter plan. So if you sign up this week, just go ahead and sign up for your account after this webinar. You can go ahead and upgrade that account and then shoot over a note to our support team using the code webinars10%, and we'll give you 10% off your first entire year of OneSignal. So that's very exciting if you are new to OneSignal and have not yet account. All right, let's see. We'll give people a few more minutes here. Just one more minute before we get started. And the other thing as well is if you wanted to send in questions, you can submit them, and throughout the webinar here, I can try to answer them as well. And then any questions we don't get to, we'll go ahead and have our support team follow up with you afterwards. If there's specific technical questions about your account, or if you have questions about our plans or anything else. All right, so for today's webinar, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you can see the version of the OneSignal dashboard that we're going to use for the webinar today. Let's see. Right. So hopefully everyone is able to see my screen and what it looks like. Essentially, this is probably very familiar to you if you've set up your OneSignal account. It's kind of what the OneSignal interface looks like. So we work with tons and tons of clients. We work with all of you guys, in addition to 500,000 apps and websites today. And many of them are Fortune 500 companies. It really runs the gamut from developers to people at small stage companies. But today we'll talk about how kind of these Fortune 500 companies are leveraging WebPush as a part of their mass marketing strategy to reach all of their customers, how it ties into their internal setup, their internal CRM systems, their internal databases, to really understand who those users are and how to best message those users. So for the purpose of this, I'll just go ahead and jump into our demo account. See. And the main things again today that we'll kind of cover here is going to be the automated messaging piece. So we'll walk through that. We'll also walk through a new feature that we've started recently called list upload. My screen is a bit frozen. We'll walk through something called list upload, which is a new feature that OneSignal has recently released, which essentially allows you to upload lists of customer data. And then we'll walk through some of the analytics as well. All right. So if this is your OneSignal account, at a high level, you can see all of the information that you have on your account. You can see all of the different users. You can see your specific messaging strategy. As you can see, we've been messaging people about how to get access to this webinar today. So basically what I'm going to take you into is the automated messaging and the templates. So first, we'll go ahead and create a segment of users. So there's really 3 steps when you're going to send notifications. And the first step is to create a segment. For the ease of this, I'll just go ahead and say, go ahead and call it webinar participants, and that's people that have been less active in the past 24 hours. So essentially 390 people, which is, let's see, less than, we'll say 72 hours. Should give us a wider range of people. Essentially, this is people that have been active on a site in the past 72 hours. So 4, it's super low, but we'll go ahead and create that segment. And then essentially we can go ahead and create a template. So the second step is to jump into your messaging tab and to create a template. And when you're creating your segment, that's when you're able to leverage kind of all of the data tag functionality. If you're not familiar with what data tags are, we can send over some information after the webinar. But essentially the data tags allow you to import information about your users. So if you have, for instance, an email address you wanted to pass, or the customer is subscribed to notifications, or they're subscribed to a specific service that you offer, you would want to know that information about your customer before you're trying to message them. A lot of times when we're working with these Fortune 500 companies, they're actually using push notifications as a channel to reach users, similarly to how you might use your email system today. So if you think of all of the complexities that go into your email system, you might have an affiliate marketing kind of email strategy that you use, or an email campaign. You might have a cart abandonment email strategy. Someone comes to the site and purchases something. Push works in the same way. The great thing about it is you're able to actually reach that user across their mobile device and desktop browser. So you're reaching them in real time. You don't have to wait for them to open their email inbox. So jumping back to this really quickly, we'll go ahead and do a new push template. And this is where you can create essentially what that would look like. So webinar, step 1. The reason I say step 1 is because with the automated messaging, you're essentially going to create a cadence of automated messages. So the first notification that you're sending, for instance, would be to get more people to come to this webinar, or to get more people to just spread awareness of your brand or whatever message you're trying to spread. It's really just kind of like an introduction, thanks for signing up, that sort of thing. We can use a better example. We can say, thanks for signing up. Check out. So if you wanted to send a notification to users for 10% off on the first time that they received notification, that's something you'd be able to do. You can set that up right here. Again, you can customize all of this, add images, customize the icons, that sort of thing. So for the sake of this, I'll just create a pretty quick template here, and then you just add your launch URL, and we'll hit save. And then, oh wait, I think I saw, I don't know what I saw. Anyway, let's see, participants, okay. So essentially this is what your template would look like. The next step here is to really just jump into automated messaging, and then you're gonna go ahead and create a new automatic message. So this is how you would create the new automated message, and it would just say, welcome, thanks for signing up. Call it a welcome push notification. You can select the template. So I think it was webinar step 1, deliver to users and segments, webinar participants. So this is where you're just going to go ahead and set up your segments that you're going to deliver the notification to. So again, this is really the first step of the automated notification strategy. You'll likely have a sequence of 3 to 5 emails or notifications that you're sending to users. And you can really just think about it in terms of how the user is walking down that path to purchase. Or the path to becoming a more engaged user, that sort of thing. And after I show you this, we can delve back into some of the segmentation options. And then essentially you can set the notification to be delivered immediately. So as soon as users come to the site and opt into notifications, the last time that they're active in the past 48 hours, they'll receive this notification after their first session for 10% off. You can also have other settings here, wait a certain amount of time for a certain number of hours to have elapsed once the user is added to the segment, or you could say only notify the user if they do return to the app. So this is kind of what that would look like, and this would be then the first step of that automated strategy. If we kind of go back here and go to total users, and if you wanted to do a new segment, well, let's see. Users. Sorry, I'm just playing around here for a second. If you want to go to all users, you'll essentially be able to see where all of your users live. There's a number of different fields here that you're able to actually create segments based off of. I think one of the things that we see with customers that are super successful with notifications is that they have really robust segmentation strategies. So they're targeting users based on different attributes of their accounts, whether it's, again, they're super engaged, they're a really active subscriber, they're subscribed to some kind of like premium service that you might offer, they've given you their email, they've purchased something from you before. If you're using any kind of like customer data platform, or if you're using a CRM system, OneSignal actually connects to all of those systems There's some information on our site about integrations. So it's really easy to connect your systems and essentially pass that information through something that we call an external ID, which is really just like an anonymized user ID. So that's kind of how you'd be able to go about doing that. And then in addition, there's all of these great things that OneSignal pulls in automatically through the SDK. So things we pull in are like user data around their timing. So when users are active, how active they are, the number of sessions, which I always think is super indicative of how engaged a user actually is. You can create segments based on users that have been active 5 times in the past 4 days, and actually create an automated strategy that has really small segments, but really just pushes users towards the path to purchase. Say, for instance, you're like a retailer, like a large national retailer, and you know that people that come to the site and maybe add something to their cart are more likely to purchase it within 2 days than within 5 days. You can actually target your notification strategy to reach those people as many times within those 2 days as you'd like. So maybe you send them 3 to 5 different notifications, as you would with an email campaign, to say, hey, like, you've left this item in your cart, get it now before the price goes back up if it's on sale, or if the price alternatively has dropped, you can send a notification to say, oh, the price dropped on this item that you've been looking at. It also works really well for affiliate marketing. So if you're more of a media publisher and you possibly work with other brands and you want to promote specific articles that feature different categories. I know Prime Day is coming up, so all of those of you that are in media, I'm sure, have a ton of stuff coming up on Prime Day. It's a really great way to promote some of those products, especially if you know, based on your segmentation, that a user has looked at a tech article and they're possibly interested in buying an Amazon Echo, and the Amazon Echo is on sale. Like, that's a great notification to send to that user. So you can really start to build out targeted campaigns, and that's what some of our most successful publishers are doing today, and in the brands that we're working with, is they're trying to identify like patterns within their user history through the data that they store in like their customer data platforms and CRMs, and trying to understand, okay, how can we message segments of these users to make them take actions on our website or in our mobile app? How do we get them to come back? How do we get them to be more loyal to our app? How do we engage them? So really, segmentation is going to be the key to that. And again, it can be category segmentation, whether they come to your site and you want to tag them with specific categories of things they've looked at, or if you want to tag them with like their subscription status or something else that you might have. And the really easy way to do that actually is to use our import/update users tool. So this tool essentially allows you to automatically update information about your users. So using that external ID or using the OneSignal player ID, you're essentially able to download a CSV or to the OneSignal system, and then select the specific columns that you want to target based on. And then OneSignal will be able to match that external ID and automatically update those data tags. So for instance, my name is Megan. If you had, Megan in your CRM and my external ID was user, 110, you'd be able to say, okay, we know Megan is user 110, and she's been, shopping on these 3 sites, or she's been shopping on these 3 pages. She's added this item to her cart. You can simply just upload all of that information to the OneSignal dashboard using this upload feature, and then you can create a notification and create that automated campaign based on this information. So it's really easy to do. You just drag and drop a CSV file from your computer that you have, and then it'll prompt you to select the specific categories that you're matching. It's really easy to do, which is nice. Any questions so far? Feel free to type in questions if anyone has any questions about any of the segmentation or kind of any of the automated messaging. Okay, let's see. The last thing that I'm really so I guess these are the data tags that you're able to see here really easily. See, very easy. And then this is where you can see actually all of the different columns that you can target users based on. There's a question from Max. It says, what level plan do I need for the new upload tool? So actually the upload tool is available on both our starter and our pro plan. So essentially the way that the plans work is if you expect to have less than 200,000 subscribers coming to your site and opting into notifications, then we recommend our starter plans. Those start at $99 a month for the first 30,000 subscribers. And then if you do expect to have more than 200,000 subscribers, you have a really large site, you want additional support, you want additional help, you want these additional features available. The features are available on both plans, but you can really get additional support by signing up for the Pro plan as well. Okay, let's see, done. All right, so I hope that answers your question, Max, about what plan you need. Let's see. Can you update user data automatically from a CDP? Yes, you can actually update the user information from a CDP. So it's available via the API. There's some documentation on it, but essentially that's how you would do it, is you would need to connect to your CDP, your CRM. It depends what CDP you use. We actually have a custom integration with one partner. It might be easiest in the meantime to just use the list uploader tool to test it out, but we can definitely send you some information on how to connect to the API to, constantly automatically update that information. Because we realize with especially large brands, you have, hundreds of thousands of customers, and you need to make it really easy to constantly, update information about those users. So you can either do it manually or you can do it via the API. Let's see. Okay, and then the other thing that I was just going to kind of talk about is delivery and how you're looking at analytics. So actually OneSignal is building out a few more additional features that actually allows you to set specific actions, like did a user abandon their cart? Did a user come back after they received notifications? So we're kind of building out a dashboard view that will allow you to set specific goals rather than just looking at the total clicked, delivery, and sent to. However, this is a really great way for you to just look at your delivery at a high level and try to figure out how to optimize your notifications. Typically, a good CTR for notifications is anywhere from 3 to 5%. We usually think that's pretty good. So depending on how large your audience segment is, you kind of want to try to optimize the notifications towards that to make sure people are clicking and engaging with those notifications. So you can really start to kind of tailor the notifications, creating smaller segments of users that are performing certain actions in the app or on the website, have specific user behavior, like they're super active, to really kind of hone in on those target segments. What is a player ID? So essentially a player, sorry, I'm answering more questions. Oliver asks, what is a player ID? A player ID is essentially the way for a user to, or the way that OneSignal anonymizes device IDs. So once the user opts into notifications, we assign an anonymized device ID to all of the OneSignal players. So it's really just a device. How would you organize a complete onboarding sequence of notifications? That's a great question. So essentially what you would want to do is you would want to go back into the messaging and you would want to set up essentially an additional automated message. So if you think about the first automated message that we created, it was a welcome notification. So anyone that had been active for the first time, had opted into notifications for the first time in the past 48 hours, was sent that welcome notification. I think a really great thing to do is to set up 2 segments for the second automated notification. And the first segment should be users that have had 2 sessions. So that means the user has had greater than 2 sessions, which you can do pretty easily. And essentially what that allows you to do is allows you to say session count is greater than 2 sessions, add filter, last session, or I guess you could say first session was less than, and then you could say 96 hours ago. So this is someone that's been active in the past 4 days and has come back to the site multiple times. So this is going to be kind of a more tailored notification. Maybe you want to send a more aggressive promo code. This is your engaged segment essentially. Whereas that's very actively, looking to purchase something, or maybe they're researching a specific article, or they're researching a tech tool, or kind of whatever your site or mobile app is promoting. This is much more like an e-commerce kind of affiliate example, but it works for games too. If a user is coming back multiple times, they're super engaged. This would be a more aggressive, send them a notification to get more player tokens or something like that. You'd be able to do that versus, let's see, is less than 2. So these people have been active. So now by just changing this less than, what you're essentially going to get is a segment of users who received your first notification, came to the site and opted into notifications, but never came back to the site. So you want to think about, okay, how do I want to try to reach these users? Maybe you don't want to send them a promo code. Maybe you want to send them, just an article that kind of piqued their interest. Maybe they looked at like a tech article and you just published a new tech article. So you want to publish that. And you would send this to this segment to just try to engage them with more content. If you have a blog or if you have some kind of messaging like that, that would be a great thing to do. So I'd say that's, step 2. That's 2 different steps that you're able to take. By the way, if you set up one of those segments, the users that are part of that segment won't receive that other notification because of the way that you've set the segmentation. And then the third notification could really just be like add filter. It could be anyone that's had their first session less than 120 hours ago, or depending on how long, 180 hours ago. And then you could add filter and you could say like the last session was greater than 24 hours ago. So these people have had their first session pretty recently, within the past week or so, but they haven't been back in the past 24 hours. And this could be kind of like your 4th engagement, segment to like re-engage users. And then alternatively, if you wanted to focus on your users that are really engaged, you could say, okay, I'm active in the past 48 hours. So these are people that are essentially coming back to your site multiple times. They've had their first session less than 180 hours ago, and their most recent session was less than 148 hours ago. So essentially you're capturing like this niche group of users that's pretty active, and that's really a great way to target those users. So that could be step 4, and then you could really continue on. If you don't want to do it based on activity and you want to do it more based on like where that user is, you can set up cart abandonment strategies, which essentially allow you to add these data tags. So you would do like cart is, and then you could have multiple tags here. So if a user had like a specific item in their cart and you wanted to message about that, you'd be able to set that up there. Let's see. Another question, it would be interesting to manage what I call static segments, where I manage in, out, when certain events happen in the app. Yes, so you can also set up notifications that are, triggers essentially. So you can actually do that really easily with the automated messaging. So if you go into messages, and if you want to set up essentially an automated message, you can have it based on specific triggers. Let's see. So if you wanted to set it up based on, essentially what you would do is you would set a segment. So if a user, creates an account, or if a user performs a specific action in the app, like they reach a new level, or they purchase something in the app, then you'd be able to just create a segment like we just spoke about. You would leverage those data tags to create that segment. And then what you would be able to do is add that user segment to right here, to whatever that was. And then as soon as users are added to that segment, so as soon as they're performing those actions, they'll automatically be added to those segments and you'll send out that message. So you can entirely automate this. It wouldn't be as much of like a cadence or like a sequence. It would just much more be like, okay, this user took this action in the app, now send them this notification. So it's less of like the daisy chaining, customer journey, and it's much more like, okay, this user took this action in the app, so send them this notification. They took, Y action in the app, send them this notification, which is also a great strategy to keep people engaged. And it's kind of like, can also be a lot more personal, as it's based on actions that users are actually taking in their app. So that's a really good question. And then you would essentially just create the template like we showed earlier, and then you would just send it immediately. One difference between our paid plans and our free plans, if you're thinking about moving to the Pro plan or the Starter plan, is that the automated messaging actually updates every 30 minutes as a part of the paid premium plans. And it's a bit slower on our free plans. We don't update the data as often. So it's actually on a slower cadence, and you'd only update it once per day. So everyone would essentially be getting the same message like that day or a day after. Peter is asking, can you push a segment into OneSignal from your CRM? So this is something we're actually building and we will be releasing. And essentially what you're asking is, can you create segments via the API by calling your CRM? It's something that we are, prioritizing on our product roadmap, and I think it will be available this quarter, I believe. So coming soon, and then that will definitely be one of the paid features. So look out for that coming soon. Right now, if you want to do it, you can essentially connect your CRM, and then you would have to, do it through data tags or either through list upload, but that's one way that you can do it. All right, I think I answered all of the questions. Does anyone have any other questions? No? And then the only other thing is, at the beginning of this webinar, we mentioned that if you have not signed up for a starter plan today and you're interested in getting started with the OneSignal plan, testing out like the features, the starter plan is month to month, and we're actually offering 10% off for anyone that signs up this week. So if you wanted to go ahead and get started, just simply create your account, get started, go to the upgrade portion on your account, and then you're able to go ahead and upgrade your account, and then you can just send our team an email at support@onesignal.com with the code webinars 10%, and we'll give you 10% off your entire first year of OneSignal, which is a pretty great deal. So go ahead and get started. Let's see, does anyone else have any other questions? No, I don't see any other questions. Well, feel free to reach out to us as well if you do have further questions about, strategy, your specific strategy, how to get started with OneSignal, and how the pros are doing it. We also have a bunch of blog posts and a bunch of information available on our website that is very easy to access. We have one more question here. Do you have clients who need to adhere to Gdpr? Yes, we definitely do. On the free plan, do you monetize the data? Can you be more explicit? So the way the OneSignal business model works is that on our free plan, we monetize the user data, and then on our paid plans, we keep the data entirely private. A lot of the data that we pull in that's monetized is not super personal, although a lot of people that are asking for DPAs, we are able to sign a DPA with you if you are on one of the paid plans. So although the data is not super personalized, if you are looking for a DPA, we're happy to sign that with you on the paid plan. All right, we'll email template. Okay, sorry, we're getting a few more questions here. I'll take these last two. We'll email templates support automation as well. Yes, you can also do that for email. Our email product is actually still in beta, but you're able to test it out and you'll be able to automate the emails, as well in the future. And yes, the recording will be available after this call, which is the last question. All right, well, if no one has any other further questions, we can all kind of jump off here and I'll give you an extra 4 minutes of your day. But again, if you joined this webinar today, you're interested in getting started, send us an email, webinar 10%. We'll give you 10% off your first year of OneSignal. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to myself or support@onesignal.com. All right, thanks everyone. Have a good day.